You know, it's sort of funny. Nostalgia's a powerful drug. We look back on some things more fondly than we should, because at the time it was either all we had or maybe it was slightly ahead of the curve. But you put it against modern releases, since it's here now, and it just doesn't stack up in the slightest. And it coasts entirely on that same nostalgia. And the end result is that it doesn't even begin to warrant the absurd price it currently commands, which is doubly fucked for me because I bought it twice, limited edition and all. Fuck me, I guess. Welcome to Touhouvania 2, Koumajou Remilia, Stranger's Requiem.
I'm getting a distinct sense of deja vu with this intro, but I think this is also a lot more apt too.
You know, it's sort of, it's funny in a way. This one and the first one are the same price. I think I like the first one better.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow this game that actually now has production values isn't as fun. Or maybe they tried to bump it a little too hard. But this one is full of holes, and it's sort of unfortunate. Because, you know, put dollar to dollar against modern releases of the same price and of the same genre. I know I said this before, but I'm betting Yohane every time. For that game, for $30, you got like an 8-hour game. For this game, for $30, you got a 90-minute game, if that.
Okay, I guess I'll be the one going to bat for this game a little bit then, because I actually don't hate it as much by comparison.
I don't hate it. I just think it hasn't stood the test of time.
I don't think this should have cost more than $20, honestly.
I would argue 10.
And I would almost go 10 also, probably 15. But that being said, I do still think this is a, I guess if we're getting our thoughts out there early on, I think this is a totally okay game. But that being said, this is a 2010 release if there ever was one. Yes, I did look into the release date for this game a little bit. Didn't really find much in terms of actual stuff for this game, but yeah, 2010, and the original game actually dropped in 2009. So I'm gonna say for what was developed by maybe like 5 people, I'm gonna agree on a curve, but yeah, also, yeah, actual full anime intro.
Very rudimentary animation and designs.
Oh, wow. There's interlace covering up going on.
So surprising no one, this game is still only 640 by 480 because it's a Japanese PC game from 2010.
Only for this bit, by the way. Although the fan animation is very evident. It's charming in its own sort of way. I feel like I'm looking at a Newgrounds animation.
Kinda, yeah, and it does no favors for the actual fantastic portrait art.
No, not at all. I mean, look at this actual portrait art. This is actually freaking gorgeous.
Also, thanks for not translating any of these credits, by the way.
Ah.
CFK.
Yep.
Ugh.
This do be a 640. Again, I will say that the animation, fan animation for this game is really cute. But yeah, it's not doing the actual art style that many favors.
Also, we have an English logo. Why wouldn't you at least translate that or this credits? Come on.
This is... Someone really did have that much of a budget going into this one. Alright, so Touhouvania 2, which does have actual... Koumajou Remilia Stranger's Requiem? Am I on the money with that?
Koumajou Remilia 2, Stranger's Requiem.
I'm close with that. Actually, do you want to go back to the options really fast? Just so we can go ahead and highlight this really fast. Okay, so just for quick and easy for everyone out there, yes, I do want to emphasize since this is a Touhouvania game by nature, it is trying to emulate a little bit more Castlevania by itself. We're going to be playing this on easy mode. That being said, we can put a good dent to this on normal if we want to, but this is partly for the purposes of doing this smoothly, and also the game has some weird difficulty spikes. Like early difficulty spikes. It's actually very strange. Oh god, you're changing buttons.
Just trying to remind myself. It's the same layout as it was before. Square is attack, triangle is sub-weapon, circle is your chrysogram, jump.
R1 changes your sub-weapon?
Yeah, and L1 is your dash.
Okay, just want to make sure nothing was really changing about that. Okay.
This menu is a lot more bloated than the last one.
It truly is, but I guess it's nice because they're trying to cram more in here, but it's also kind of screwing with the aspect ratio a little bit. Or not the aspect ratio, the balance of the text and everything.
Composition.
Yeah. I completely skipped the intro, by the way. And hello, Goth GF Sakia. Oh yeah, it's the same art for the last game too. I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone that was there in the last game was going to have the same art.
Yeah. So obviously it stands to reason that this is we were talking about it. This does at first glance seem to be trying to be a la carte from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but honestly, I get almost more like Soma Cruz vibes.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Marissa almost pulls off a la carte more so than our actual a la carte here.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something to the effect of, it feels like in hindsight, the graphics in this game are more representative, not of Symphony of the Night, but of the GBA games.
You mean the sprite work?
Yeah.
I'm kind of inclined to agree. The GBA, well, okay, minus the whites being blown out of proportion because having to compensate for the lack of a backlit screen for it back in the day. But no, I could definitely see it. It's a little more smoothed out, and we here like our pixels raw, personally.
So there's a twofold issue with that. The first is that we're using the upscaler, and also they did some sort of a manual smoothing filter pre-applied that you can't turn off in this remaster.
Yep.
So we're accentuating a problem, but it doesn't matter because it was going to be there regardless.
Yeah, so I guess I should go ahead and probably get this out of the way early. The whole bit, should you pirate this game? No. Well, I'm gonna.
You were able to do it for 13 years before now anyway. What difference does it really make?
Please let me get to my point. Okay, so if you want a quick and dirty of actually playing this game has been on PC for 13 years beforehand. If you want an easy way to go about it, I found an Internet Archive post for this game in its original release. Bear in mind, 2010 PC game by fans. The specs are very minimal. You have to mess with INI files if you know how to do that. This game, however, I think it's worth buying, but its default price is $30, and that's
it's
steep.
never going to go down to a reasonable amount because Babs has been watching the Steam sales for the original game like a hawk for the last year that's been out, and it's never gone below 20% off, I don't believe.
Yeah, in fact, Steam winter sales are still going on right now. I'm going to go quickly take a look at it to prove my point because, trust me, I have been on this game like a goddamn hawk.
$20 on the low end, but this is available on Steam and Switch if you wanted to buy it.
True.
I don't think there's really a purpose to that nowadays because while it's nice to have a version of this you can play on console and with a proper translation because the old translations are garbo.
Yep. Ooh.
You don't really need to because it's not like buying this now is going to give a message to the developers that, hey, we want a third game or something. I think that ship is sailed.
That ship is long since sailed. So the original game currently is on sale for $20. Its usual resting price, it appears to be $33?
30.
Yeah, it is 30. Okay, I was doing the math wrong. Well, tax would take up to 33, but you know what I mean. Okay, and the second game, what damage are we dealing with?
Probably not on sale at all since it just released 2 weeks ago.
You would be correct. Fuck me.
Yeah, these sorts of things don't do launch sales.
Yeah, no, that's very unfortunate. Also, the original game has mixed reviews on Steam sales, on Steam reviews. Unfortunate, but you know it'd be.
They're saying that I've looked at some of those. They're saying mostly the same things I am. The game's not worth the price. It doesn't really hold up in today's day and age.
No, yeah, it's very much a fan game from 2010, if anything else, which is both cute and also why would you charge full retail price for a literal fan game?
I mean, full price would be 60, but you know, it's sort of funny. We've said this probably in recordings like something like 15 times, but we've been planning to cover these games for something like 8 or 9 years.
Yep.
And it's sort of unfortunate. Maybe if we did, we would have been more kind to it, since we wouldn't have had a sense of perspective.
And we also wouldn't have to pay for it.
That too.
All right, so I guess while Brandon's kicking off the first level, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some basic really fast. So I do want to mention that this game is... I'm going to be listing some of the pros of this game.
Hang on a sec.
Yes.
Really weirdly, for some reason, in very certain areas, has 3D assets.
Yes, I
do not get it, because it's not in every stage.
So I was going to mention that, actually. That was going to be my first point. This game does implement some 3D elements into it. Now, if you're a bit of a Castlevania historian like I am, unfortunately, you'll remember that Symphony of the Night, which this game does kind of crib something from, it was the first to use proper 3D elements in a 2D setting, which is really cool because it did allow the PlayStation to really push the idea of what 2D games could be. Now, that being... How the fuck did you just do that?
You can attack when you're on the dashback.
Right, I never use that, so I wouldn't know. Okay. Now, this game does do it kind of well-ish. Okay, so I'm going to say for 2010, for fan-made 3D games, this could look way worse. Back in the day, there wasn't a lot of toolkits available for a lot of game development as it was. The best you had back in the day was an extremely primitive Unity engine and RPG Maker.
Game Maker.
Game Maker. There really was not a lot to work with in terms of games that, or ways you can make free games that were running with proper 3D elements. So this game being able to do that is pretty nice. I would definitely say that. Now, where this game does kind of fall to a little bit is I actually think more so with the controls. I'm going to talk about that more. Right now, Brad and I are actually going to be switching off between levels. I'm going to talk more about my issues with the game when I get to it. But I guess to give a quick summation.
I hate this weapon. I think this sucks.
Oh,
I know what it's supposed to do, but it's way too weak to be of actual use.
Oh no, I'll show what it seems like it's supposed to be doing. But no, on the whole, I do wish it did a little bit more.
Also, there are some elements of this game that are overtly worse than the original. The original game, you did not have a flight meter.
Nope.
Now you do, and it's very limited, so that's annoying. And your flight meter can also be broken by doing mid-air attacks, which also did not have a meter in the first game. In the first game, use it with Reimu using her spell tags. That just took from your soul meter.
Yep.
So that wasn't a finite resource in the same way that having an overt meter for flying and aerial attacks was.
Right, so that's one of the key issues with this game, actually. It's trying to be 3 different games at the same time, which is a classic 2D Castlevania game, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and a Touhou game all at the same time. It doesn't really strike a good balance between any of them. So I guess to reaffirm that point, you still have you're gonna have bullet hell elements in the boss fights themselves. And how do you combat this? Well, you have a character with infinite flight meter like you did in the first game. Problem: you don't have infinite flight in this game. In fact, the flight is actually heavily gimped in this game. If you can actually hover once you take care of the frog, I guess, it's incredibly slow. That's your top speed.
It's way slower than it was before.
So effectively, it feels like the game wants you to partake more in ground combat. Oh, it's also slash to that wall back there. Use the Christogram. There it is.
Huh.
I found that literally for the first time when I was doing the warm up. So this game has a couple of it's got a weird identity issue where it doesn't really know which genre it wants to lean in more into. So it kind of makes Sakuya feel like, okay, let me actually, I still got more points to make. Actually, I shouldn't be jumping to the conclusion just yet. So she's trying to also be a little bit of Alucard from Symphony of the Night, where she's got a basic slash, which is fairly iconic for how he plays. But she's also got the move that's basically like the Christogram from Symphony of the Night. This move. Now, this would normally not be.
This was the wrong time to use that.
This would normally not be a big deal, except, well, actually, no, this would be a big deal because it's giving you the best weapon in the game. But here, not so much. The Christogram in the original Symphony of the Night is famous for doing a metric fuckload of damage incredibly fast and basically being a giant constant hitbox in front of you so nothing could ever touch you. This game, they try to make it more into like a utility defensive tool. So like, its hitbox is way higher and farther ahead than the sword, but it does also less damage. Which is like, okay, it's fine. But they also don't quite fill the gap fully. And it also pulls your AP meter. So it's like, what are you trying to do with this exactly? It's trying to pull from too many walls at the same time, and as a result, trying to play like Touhou, it's not working. Trying to play like Castlevania, it's not really working. Trying to play like Symphony of the Night, it's really not working, because also it doesn't have any of the RPG elements of Symphony of the Night, so you're really stuck in a no man's land, and I feel like as a result, this game has some heavy difficulty balancing issues. I'm gonna shut up now.
Neither of these 3 genres were meant to be a resource management. And when you try to do 3 things at once, fail to do either of them, and then add that gimmick on top of it, you just made something that's beyond repair almost.
Symphony almost does because of the RPG elements, but you were usually never shot for things to do at a given time.
Is there an ammo on your weapons?
No, but there is a magic system, or a magic meter. And you do have a finite amount of heal times you can heal yourself using items, but yeah.
Also, chalk this up to me liking the way Richter plays more, but I like the whip and its further reach than the sword any day of the week.
Oh no, that honestly, at a glance, I definitely do not blame you. Alucard's strength more comes from like the later mid game.
His alternative weapons
where
and his transformations.
Yeah, where he gets a lot more beef out of the alt weapons, which Richter plays a lot stronger out of the gate, but I could definitely show you more about that later on. But regardless, yeah, she's trying to play like both the Belmont and Alucard and not doing either particularly well. Anyway, mailing got hogged on again. Oopsie.
You know what's sort of funny? Up until the penultimate stage, Alistair is the hardest boss in the game.
She actually is, and this does kind of fall back to the aforementioned issues with the game not really knowing like where it wants to crypt from more.
And when to pull its punches.
Yeah, so
this will be the hardest boss until stage 7.
And we're not kidding about that.
We're on stage 1.
I realize what part of the issue with it is too. It's the fact that you have no sub-weapons at all to deal with her.
You technically have the daggers, but those don't do anything.
The daggers are very weak. They do work, but they're very resource intensive for very little return. And there's no item crashes either, so oof.
No. Yeah, that makes it even worse.
Oh, yeah, by the way, also, all the cutscenes fully voice acted. I guess that's worth mentioning. Did I hear something or rather a long time ago about Saki here being voiced by Jolene from one of the JoJo things?
Yes, from the video games before the anime, the original voice.
So like All-Star Battle, yeah.
Yeah.
This battle, you want to be extremely careful because you don't have great mobility, so the bullets, when they come out full circle, it's very hard to evade any of them. If you lose this run, I'll take over. It's fine. I was practicing a little bit off screen. Also, the angles, like it's so hard to run underneath anything or run above anything. I actually did die on normal mode when I was practicing this game. I was like, oh shit, Jesus.
Now I know for all we were talking about that seemed pretty easy, but again, we're literally playing on easy. Anything harder and she becomes a royal pain in the ass.
Yeah, normal mode, especially when you don't have any of the character sub-weapons. Not fun.
So if we wanted, I guess we can do the following stages on normal until we get to the bullshit.
Nah, I'm good.
Alright.
This is gonna be a strictly easy run, guys. I know that there's haha baby easy mode, but literally easy mode in this game still kind of tough, actually.
Yeah.
Legit, unironically, yeah.
It's the sort of thing with like the Doom games. Easy mode on those games is still harder than most other games in their entirety.
Oh yeah, easy. I mean, although ironically, I think Doom's bigger issue is just more so like the item collecting.
Yeah, well, not as much in Eternal.
Yeah.
But for the time, this was a weirdly all-star cast, considering the first game, they're both indie, of course, but the first game was entirely freeware. This is the first one where they started charging money because they actually had production value.
On PC originally, really?
Yeah, back in 2010, because they had animator to pay and voice actors to pay.
Oh, also, they also had someone doing the score properly. Like, someone actually...
Yeah.
Pretty good, actually. So I have a funny story about that.
Me too.
Okay, I guess I'll get my very funny story first. So a long time ago, I did try streaming the first game on YouTube. And when I was done with it, for some reason I was getting a lot of like copyright notices for the stream VOD because there was a lot of the music in the game was being deemed as covers and they were getting copyright notices on them. I'm like, what? Okay. So I guess someone tried registering copyright with the covers on YouTube. That was very strange, especially for video game stuff, but alright.
Yeah, I recorded a couple of videos of it up through stage 4, I think, something like 7 years ago, and I ended up uploading them, and every one of them eventually got hit with various copyright claims. I don't know if that was legit or if it was just one of the many instances of YouTube copyright fraud where some random jackass will claim to be like Atlas or someone and do a bunch of claims and then steal all the money, or if it was actually the real circle that made the music. But that was the thing that happened for a while, so that was one of the other reasons why we held off so long.
Yeah, that's always been a big issue. Touhouvania 1 when I posted it, and it didn't really gain notices, so I think it's totally fine. It was just really weird. I don't know if like the people who actually wrote the music in this game and did the compositions like applied for copyright ownership of it, which is like, I mean, for that piece, like, okay, but copyright covers back in the day was like always a gray area with YouTube, so I don't know, weird stuff.